Thank you. Welcome to our live stream today. My name is Cyrus Waithaka. I'm part of the bigger Kuja team. My current role is as a lead developer for basically the Kuja platform. So today we're doing a session today to give a background of the Kuja, the technology behind Kuja, or what runs the Kuja engine. So from that, we have a number of questions that we have been receiving over the past few weeks. So that's what I'll go through. And if you have any more questions, if you probably got late sending in your questions about the tech behind Kuja, feel free to send them in the comment section, and we will definitely handle them at the very end. So in terms of the question, I'll go direct to the very first one. What makes Kuja different from other organizations that are doing the same, like providing a platform for organizations in the aid sector? It's a difficult question to answer, but I'll try to handle that by looking at the problems that Kuja is trying to solve, and basically how which space we are looking to fill, which gaps we are looking to fill. So the very first one is the problems that one of the big problems that CSOs have faced. We look at them as from two different point of views. There are the problems that will affect donors, and there are problems that will affect CSOs. So from CSOs, it's usually access to information. For instance, an NGO or a CSO operating, especially in the third world, where information flow is a bit limited. So it's always hard for a CSO to know which grant do I qualify for, which grant do we apply for, what are the requirements that we need to in order to apply for a given grant. So from that, what Kuja has done is through the Kuja Learn platform, there is the sharing of information, sharing of basically decolonizing the information that is available to bigger NGOs and making it available to all the other small CSOs. The other so the other problem that we are trying to solve for CSOs is in terms of their a CSO being unable to, or having challenges in operations. So from that, what we're providing, or the solution, the product that we are providing, is through a product called Kuja Build. So Build is sort of, if you look at it, if you think about it, it's more of an ERP solution. But on top of that, you also get technical or operational advisories. So for Kuja Build, it's a platform mostly for operations. So we have in there a grant management system incorporated with a finance management solution. So from that, from those two solutions, plus also other small modules in there. For instance, we have a HR management and all that. So with that, we are able to solve operational challenges that CSOs face, especially for those that cannot afford, those who do not have the capability to purchase an ERP solution. So you get an ERP solution as well as a team to run your operations or to assist you with operations. Then from a donor point of view, a big problem for donors is there's usually a big gap between the organizations that are on the ground that are doing the actual work and the donor. So you find from the amount of money that a donor will donate, a lot of that money is lost in between. You'll find there are so many what we may call red tapes around the between the money leaving the donor's account to when it reaches the person at the grassroots or the organization at the grassroots that are doing the actual work that is meant to help the people the money is intended to benefit. So for that, we provide the Kuja link. Kuja link is a profile, is a system where you can create a profile either as a donor or as a CSO, and then you are provided with visibility such that donors are able to go onto the profile and search for organizations or CSOs within a given focus area or focus areas and regions and all that. So basically, as a small CSO, once you register or once you sign up, you get visibility in the sense that donors from around the world are able to search and view your information. Then also in terms of the access to information, donors are able to see within a given region what are the focus areas that most of the CSOs are concentrating on. So if I am looking at something like, let's say it's food security, as a donor, I'm able to look, for instance, if we give an example of Kenya, I'm able to search for CSOs within Nairobi whose focus area is food security. The same thing applies for to environmental and all that. I think the other thing that makes us different is in terms of we are also providing, or one other product that we have is what we call Kuja Advice. So this is mostly a platform for peer-to-peer advisories. Unlike Kuja Learn, where we are providing the pre-created content or information in terms of learning materials, Kuja Advice is more specific, more one-to-one advisories for CSOs. So in a nutshell, you are looking at having 4 different products within one umbrella, and that is what really sets us apart from many other organizations that are doing the same thing of offering platforms, because our platform is wide and provides a lot more than just the specific products or solutions to given problems. The other question was how does Kuja handle language diversity across different regions? So Kuja currently has 4 languages and working on a 5th one. So our approach to diversity is by providing an easy and automated translation depending on the current profile. So if I'm signing up and I'm an English-speaking CSO, or I'm more comfortable in French, you're able to set that as your language on your profile, and the system auto-switches the content when you access it. So we are currently working on Arabic. We're in some advanced stage of testing. So that will be coming in the coming weeks. The other way we handle the language diversity is we sort of prepare our events, because we do events. So events are usually tailored towards a specific language. So you'll find an event in Spanish, an event in French. So, and that is specifically informed by the target audience. So if an event is targeting say CSOs in Nairobi, so the language that is more common within that region, that's what we usually use for the events. So those are the two broad ways in which we handle diversity of languages in the sector. The other thing is, how does Kuja match? The next question: how does Kuja match donors with grassroots organizations so accurately? This is more of I think a fair way to answer this is it's more of work in progress at the moment, because we are sort of trying to disrupt how organizations or how donors are finding organizations. So we are currently working on some experiments on how we can use AI to sort of combine or rather use the data that we have so far collected. So when you create a profile on the platform, you tell us your focus area, you tell us your the focus areas you're interested in, the region you are in. So from that data, we are looking towards having a tool that can automatically do the matching. But this is currently still work in progress. Will most likely take some time for it to go out. So that is our current strategy towards matching donors and organizations that are operating in specific areas at the grassroots. Basically, looking at going to the CSO that is doing the last mile delivery of the service or delivering the help at the grassroots. So the data that we are collecting from the platform is partly, or rather will be the main thing that will help us to deliver. The next question is, can Kuja be used in areas with limited access or low-tech literacy? Two things here. The very first one is our solutions are web-based, so in terms of low internet connectivity, we currently do not have a solution for that, because you need an internet connection in order for you to access our products. However, in terms of the low-tech literacy, we handle this by, we are looking to handle this through trainings on the KujaLearn platform, where organizations that are specifically in areas where there is low-tech literacy will be able to get help or technical support. This also applies to not only tech, not only where there is low-tech literacy. There's also business advisories, business help with how do you comply with certain requirements from donors. So the Kuja platform, the KujaLearn platform, will be of great help there, and has been for quite some time, as there is already information being shared on that. Then the next question is, what role does AI play on the Kuja platform? This is still an ongoing discovery for us. The Kuja platform is currently continuously basically being built to integrate into AI, or rather to take advantage of the developments that we have seen in the AI field. I think the main thing we can highlight here is the translation of content, because of the diverse languages with which our target audience is in. So the diverse languages. So we have on the fly content translation within the system. We're also using AI to do web scraping for grants, basically getting grants and classifying grant information. So in real time, we are able to give you the most recent grants that have been published on the internet. So AI is helping a lot on that because we are able to classify and we are able to filter through grants that will be helpful to our users. We're also using AI a lot in our cyber security protection layers as one of the main things where AI is coming, AI is helping a lot is in basically classifying threats on the internet. So that is coming in very handy for us to make sure that we provide a safe ecosystem for our users. We are also in the process of working on an AI-powered chatbot. So this is in the late stages of development and testing, and will most likely be released in the coming weeks. So this is, to some extent, a bot that you can chat with. You can enables you to get help. And has also helped us to scale, or will help us to scale the help desk, the support we give to our users in terms of the help desk. Then also, I mentioned earlier the AI-powered matching algorithm that we are working on. So that will also be a game changer in basically how donors and CSOs get matched. So that is also one of the main things that we feel AI will help to transform. So that is still in our pipeline, and will also most likely be released in the coming months. So the other thing is we have in our pipeline, we have the plan of working on an AI tool to basically help in the easier grant management, where you can give, think of a place where you upload PDF documents, Excel documents that you download over the internet from the donor websites, and you are able to, that information, AI helps us to basically extract information from those documents. Think of grants, budgets, budgeting tools, basically budgeting templates from donor websites, and you're able to update them, to upload them onto the Kuja Build platform. The other question is Kuja Build mobile friendly? In a nutshell, all the outside-facing parts of Kuja platform are device responsive. They can be accessed both on mobile and laptops. This is a decision that was made through data, because around 48% of our users are accessing the platform using their mobile phones. This is also a continuous process, so we're also looking to make sure that also the other parts of basically the back-end part of the platform are also mobile responsive. But the front end and basically the website and the events pages are mobile responsive. Then the other question was, is Kuja's technology built in-house or powered by external tools? That was a very good question. So in the current world, because of how fast-paced the world is moving, the choice of the tools that we use is obviously a big factor in the success of the Kuja platform. So in terms of the stack, we use a hybrid of technologies, both those that are externally built and as well as those that we build in-house. Mostly the part that defines our unique value think of Kuja Build, think of grant management. Those are built in-house. Also the UI, UX, what basically is the user interface, or what controls the user interaction. That's also built in-house. At the same time, we also have different external tools and platforms that we are also taking advantage of, or we take advantage of. This is mostly around infrastructure, data analytics, communication tools, a lot of the standard tools, the standard processes that every other organization has or uses. So we use that from those are outsourced. But for the ones that are basically for our unique offering, we build them in-house. The idea behind that approach is to make sure that we are able to iterate ideas, and we are able to offer or to move fast in our offerings, in making sure that our users are able to experience what the technologies that are like modern technologies, while still maintaining a lean team for our organization. The next question is, are there any new tech features or updates that are coming to Kuja? That was also a very good question. Yes, we are continuously building, we are continuously creating solutions for our users. I think I can highlight quite a number of the features that are in our pipeline that we are looking to make available on the Kuja platform. The very first one is the live chat feature. So this will be rolled out in the coming days. The first phase of it will be for help desk purposes only, but we are looking to have a version 2 for it, V2 for it, which will include now users communicating to other users, basically a live chat within the platform for other users. The other feature that we are working to release in the coming days is the communities forums feature on the platform. So the idea for this is to connect people who are interested in certain topics. You can create a community, people can join the community. You're able to choose whether it's a public community or you want to lock it to a specific user group. So that will also be coming in the coming days. The other thing that's coming soon is the Arabic language. As I mentioned, we are working on having support for Arabic on our website, as well as on the other solutions. So that will be coming in the coming days. The other thing is the improved user profile. Basically a version 2 of the current user profile, where you are able to connect with users. Think of it as a social media, a fully fledged social media connection, request, follow, have friends, and such. Then the other feature is a resources and tools sharing platform. So on the Kuja platform, you will be able to share, let's say you have a video that was transformative to you, you're able to share it within your network or within the network for other people to benefit. The final one is the Kuja Build, which is an ERP solution or a platform to offer operational, a platform for operational needs of CSOs. So piloting will start in the coming weeks, but we are looking to have it rolled out in the coming months. And this is one of the products that we are really excited about because it sort of looks to solve problems that many CSOs that has locked many CSOs who have failed or who have had a challenge in complying with certain donor requirements. So that is the other product that we are looking to deploy in the coming days. The other question was, can users customize their feeds and alerts? Yes, at the moment you can subscribe and unsubscribe to certain notification to specific alerts from your user profile. So I think yes, the answer is yes there. You're able to subscribe or to customize the kind of alerts that you receive from the Kuja platform. Then the other question was, how secure is the information shared on Kuja? We do use a number of tools to enforce security or to ensure that the data that is shared to us on the platform is secure. So number one, we enforce encryption when the data is being transmitted. So end-to-end encryption. As you'll see when you visit the platform, you'll notice it's protected. It has HTTPS certificates. So to ensure that the data when in transit is protected. Then we also have a privacy policy which involves, which basically controls or informs our users how we use the data or how we store and utilize the information that they are providing on the platform. So you can visit our website for a full to read our privacy policy around data privacy and protection. The other one is, how does Kuja plan to scale as more users join? So we do have multiple instances running. The service is running on multiple instances. Behind that, then in front of that we have a load balancer, just to make sure that as more users come onto the system or onto the platform, the quality of the service that you enjoy is maintained. We also run preemptive load tests on our services, basically to simulate what would happen if the number of users increases. Then lastly, a lot of our data or a lot of our static information is cached. So think of images, static files on the website that is cached, which to some extent is meant to improve the performance of the solution of this platform. Can you explain how the smart matching algorithm works? So again, this is still work in progress. This is something that we are continuously redesigning and hoping to get it right. So the idea is to feed the information that we are collecting on the platform so that we can use tools and we can build tools so that we get it right when matching a donor to an organizer, to a CSO. Next question is, how does Kuja match donors to grassroots organizations accurately? I think that's the question I've answered up there. So it's mostly the data that you provide to us, information about your focus areas, what is your location, what is your language, and all that is used to match to a preferred donor. What kind of data does Kuja use to recommend opportunities to users? So again, that's information that you fill on your user profile. So those are focus areas and your location as well. Lastly, how does Kuja stay updated with the latest funding opportunities in real time? We mostly take advantage of a combination of web scraping and AI for the purpose of matching, classifying grants, basically making sure that we only provide grants that are relevant to our users. So Kuja also has from our network of donors who in most times will share the information about their upcoming grants. So that is usually created on our profile, on the platform, and shared with users within, depending on the the configurations that you have done in your notifications. I think that is it. I think we've come to the end of it due to time, but please feel free to keep sending in your questions, and then we will make sure to respond to them later on. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your evening.